Hello, guys. Good morning. I didn't hear. Good morning. Yeah, so this is the first talk, so you guys should be excited to hear that. So this is very interesting topic, okay, and it's not difficult to understand. So I will go a little slowly so that everybody can understand. If you don't, you can ask the questions at the end. Okay, so the topic for today's presentation is hacking telephone systems for fun and profit. So, why it's not showing 1 second. It's not moving. Yeah, fine. Now it's fine. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, okay, fine. So now a little bit about myself. I am leading the security intelligence team at Symantec. You might be using Norton antivirus, so that is famous for that company. And apart from that, I am mentoring some of the schools in India under Indian government program. I do bug hunting and pen testing during my leisure time because I enjoy doing that, and also some kind of security research things if something is interesting to me. I have spoken at few of the international conferences. I have already listed the names. And apart from that, I'm the advisory board member of EC Council and Convert IT. At EC Council, I'm trying to make the license penetration testing more challenging. And at Convert IT, I'm discussing with some of the CISOs for the transformation of security in future. And I'm also the committee member of some of the international conferences for Dubai, Toronto, Vancouver, and Switzerland. So this is my introduction. And this is my colleague. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. So he is also working for my team at security intelligence team at Symantec. So this is the agenda for today, our today's talk. So I'll be going one by one. Okay, in details like telecommunications fraud. First, we'll see what kind of frauds are happening or happened in the past. Then we'll go what are the common telecom hacking techniques. And then we'll go deeply into PBX. What is this? What are the features of PBX and how we can do the open PBX? We can check using Shodan or Census. And then we'll go more deeply into soft phone, and then I'll showcase some of the vulnerabilities that we reported to the different PBX vendors, and they fixed it and assigned CVE numbers to them. So I cannot showcase all the demos because some of them are still open and vendors are trying to fix it. Then we'll talk about general mitigation techniques. So this is very interesting. If you see here, okay, there is a New York Times newspaper, or if you can read it on internet. So you can see they were surprised by there was a company who was surprised by a $166,000 phone bill they occurred in a single weekend. This is very important. Single weekend. So the hackers, they always try to target the organization when they are not mostly active, and that is the weekend. This is CFCA, like Communications Fraud Control Association. They are trying to, they conduct the survey each and every year to check the information, how many telecom frauds are happening in the industry. And you see, the $38.1 billion was the fraudulent charges in 2016. I don't have the latest data, so I kept the data for 2016. And it has increased drastically in recent years. Okay, so I'll discuss more details. So you can see all the frauds I have shown in this particular diagram is in USD billions. Okay, so you can see there are so many terms like PBX hacking. For this, like total fraud loss was 3.93 billion. And that is why me and my colleague chose PBX hacking as our research topic. This is more prominent even nowadays. Other than that, you can see, so we are going to discuss this in more in details in later of the slides, so I'll not discuss much about that. Then there is a IP-PBX hacking. Okay, so you can see like it's almost close to PBX hacking, but it's 3.53 billion. Okay, so what attackers are trying to do this is like they're trying to attack on wipe softwares. So you can see like it occurs in any industry. All the organizations are using the wipe. Okay, and certain industries such as banking, they train to attract more these kind of frauds because those are the most luring sectors for the attackers. And then you can see subscription fraud, that is application based. It's very important to notice like whether it is application based or subscription based, because all different types of different attacks. Okay, so subscription fraud is basically characterized by fraudster using own stolen identity with no intention to pay. So they will just use your stolen identity and they will use it for the application based subscription fraud. Then there is another one, dealer fraud. Okay, so you don't do anything, you just imagine. I'll just give you a simple scenario. Suppose I am a dealer for any telecom, like for example Vodafone, and what I do, I go and buy a $10 SIM card you use in your mobile phone. Yeah, and I do the prepaid charges of $20 for talking. So what happens, I will try to lure the college students which are very actively looking for these smaller charge SIM cards. So I just invested $30 on that particular SIM card and I am giving the college students at $20. Okay, so the total cost for me is $30. But once the subscription happened, company will also pay me $50. So you can imagine I invested only $30 and so the total profit will be $60. So $30 will be my pure profit. So this is how they are trying to do the dealer kind of fraud. It's very easy. Just some kind of social networking you do and you can do this kind of frauds. So now I'll talk about something like subscription fraud. This is another very prominent kind of fraud which happened and it is happening nowadays. And it is also related to stolen identity credentials. Okay, so you might have seen I'll not take the name, but you might have seen the 2014 breach. So many identities were stolen and they are still on dark web for you to buy. So these kind of frauds are happening because of that. They are utilizing your usernames, credentials, credit card details, social security numbers, if you are living in US, all those kind of things. Okay, and then you can see the service abuse. Service abuse, if anyone Japanese here, they might be using the word wangiri. Wangiri means one and cut. So what is hackers are trying to do is they will simply give you a missed call. So what happens, it is from a genuine number, they will try to make a call from the computer-based systems. Okay, that will show the number and you will think, oh, somebody called me, but they gave me missed call. It might be, you will be curious to know who called you. So you'll be giving the call back. Okay, and when you are giving call back at that particular number, that charges will be very high. So in that way, they are trying to lure people and incur more charges. Another one is account takeover, like one account you can take over and you can utilize all the facilities that is being provided to the user. Another one is very important. This is subscription fraud, mule based. Okay, so this is where the ringleader of a fraud ring will pay cash to someone for committing part of the fraud. So for example, what I will do, if I am a dealer, I will ask some college student to please go and buy some of the SIM cards on my behalf. And for example, if some telecom company is giving some benefits, that if you buy 10 SIM cards, you can get 2 SIM cards for free. So I'll just target 100 of college students and I'll tell them that I'll give you $50 as token if you get me those kind of SIM cards. So it's very easy, and this is also very prominent nowadays. So now we'll discuss what are the 2 most common telecom hacking techniques. One is user authentication and another one is SIP toll fraud. So in user authentication, one of the techniques they are using is SIP trunking. Okay, and one second. SIP trunking, and another one is like they are using ISDN gateway to particularly exploit that thing. So what they are doing, they will try to get the access to the PBX through some of the vulnerabilities that I'm going to showcase the demos, so you can understand this more in details. And then they will try to make a call from different region. Okay, like for example, Sri Lanka or some of the country where the call rates are very high. Okay, so they will try to make a call from different region using that particular vulnerability, and so the call rates will be incurred for that particular company only, but it will be redirected through different reason. So we'll be seeing that, and why they're trying to do this user authentication. Even you will see some of the PBX, what I'm going to discuss, they will have very simple credentials, like username will be user, password will be password, or admin, or maybe something very easy to guess. So why they're trying to do is like to initiate calls, obviously free of cost for hackers, and change call routing plans. So they will try to target the bigger organizations, because bigger organizations have the international roaming pack activated by default. So what they try to do is, like, for example, if the call is only intended for Europe and US, so they might get access to those PBX and try to change the call plans even for Middle East, and they can utilize that particular functionality. Another one is toll fraud. It is also, one second. Another one is toll fraud. It is also known as international revenue sharing fraud. Okay, and you will see it. It's very interesting to note down that most of the applications that can make a call to the public telephone network is vulnerable to IRSF. I'm not telling all, but most of them. And the success rate is very, very high. Why the success rate is very, very high? Because 90% of toll fraud, they occur on weekends. So what is happening? Companies are giving holidays to the employees during weekend, and the hackers will try to check the time zone, and they will try to make a call at early in the morning, like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. when everybody partied last night and they are sleeping. Okay, so, and another thing is, like, they will target the bigger organizations because they know that earning, even if they get caught, their group name will be highlighted in news flash and everywhere on internet, and it's easier to earn the fame. So these are some of the top destinations for toll fraud. Okay, so you can see all the countries listed here. I have taken it from twilio.com. So the countries listed here have very high telecom rates, charges for making a call. So they will try to target from these particular countries. Okay, so now these are the general mitigation techniques that all of the organizations should utilize. One is account security. So for example, if you subscribe to any telecom, so you should provide your email ID as well as mobile number both. They should use that particular practice to verify you are the authentic proper user to use that facility. Another thing is geo permission. So geo permission should be restricted. For example, if I am living in Dubai and I have only the clients located in UK, for example, so my geo permission only will be set till UK. Okay, and there shouldn't be, I should not be allowed to make a call to US or other European countries. So that is very good practice. So geo permissions should be implemented. And the last but not the least, it is very important, rate limiting. Okay, so what you are trying to do, every user, if suppose I am a new user, joined some company, there should be some rate limiting that I should be allowed only 1 hour of calling for 1 week. So depending on my business, if my business requires, then they will be increasing the duration for during after some period of time, because attackers, they try to use the newly subscribed users because they know they don't have any idea how to utilize and all those functionalities, and they will not be even noticing that. So it's very important to do the rate limiting. Now let's move to the PBX. Okay, so PBX stands for Private Branch Exchange. You will see PBX in almost all the organizations, whether it is government, financial, private, everyone uses the PBX. Why they use PBX? Because it is like internet connected calls. It makes our billing very cheaper. If you trying to make a call from your phone, it's very costly, international calls. So they try to use internet connected devices. So these soft phones, remote office, fax, user portal, voicemail phone, all these are connected to a PBX. So what we'll see, like most of these things will be connected through a router, switches, all those things when you are trying to place a call. And another important point to note is like it is compromising of both hardwares and softwares. Please keep a patience, because I'll be showcasing the demo, then it will be very interesting for you, like how actual PBX hacking is done. So these are some of the features. Call forwarding, call transfer, conference calls, automatic call delivery, voice messaging, call queue, all things, whatever you see in conference call, everything you can see in PBX. That is being provided by the PBX. That is part of the PBX feature. So let's start PBX hacking now. So we'll start with very basic techniques, like just searching. Like you search on Google, instead of Google, we will try to use Shodan. Okay, Shodan is a search engine that lets user find a specific type of devices connected to internet. Okay, so it's very easy. I'll show you some of the commands also, and then you can try it yourself, but don't try to exploit. So in this one, so what you can notice is like I have given in search bar. Okay, can I focus somewhere? Yeah, you can see this is the search, like Google search engine. So I have just mentioned NCH software Exxon virtual PBX. And when I clicked on search button, so this is displaying me this particular information. Now you can go to any IP and try to check whether any default credentials are set or not, because most of the Exxon PBX will have default credentials. Okay. So this is very interesting thing that we found is like we were able to get the call details record. Now just imagine this is the call details record of XYZ company, maybe a banking company, and I'm trying to check how many total calls they made, during what time they made. So it will be easier for me to make a call which is not mentioned here, the timing which is not mentioned here. And what was the average calls per hour? Even I can check the customer details. I can hear other important details like related to credentials, credit cards. I'll show you in the next slide. Okay, so this is the Census, another search engine. Okay, this also you can use for searching this type of things, and you can see those many IP is listed, and they are trying to use. Oh, sorry. See, you can see they are trying to use free PBX. Okay, so I'll take you to next slide. So what query we gave is like free PBX administration. Okay, and it found 12,273 IPv4 hosts. So this is just the particular network breakdown that we have showcased here, and the country breakdown. So United States, see if the frequency is 44.96. You can click on those hosts and you can see what kind of PBX and other things they are using, softwares, hardwares, all those things. So let's see the first demo. So we'll start with Shodan. So we gave Polycom command shell. Yeah. So it listed these kind of IPs like Italy or whatever country. It will change whenever you do the searching. So we just randomly selected one of the IPs. Yeah, you can see like we can see the ports which are open. So you just have to search. You don't have to even do Nmap scanning and all those scanning techniques. We just went to try to, and see there is no credential sets. So we are able to visit utilities. We can see the records of call details records. We can even hear the recordings of those calls. So you can imagine like what you can do if you, all the call details are available. See, admin settings are there. So you can even change the routing plans and everything. What you did, you just did a simple searching. This is so easy. Okay. So we got access to one of the administration settings. So we were just trying some directory traversal vulnerability and we found this interesting directory. So we created our PBX test file just to check whether we can upload anything or not. So what attackers will do, they will upload some malware or Trojan and get back the logs, everything, right? So we didn't do that. We just tested it using just simple file. Okay. And this is the call detail record that we got after using that particular vulnerability. So you can see these volume buttons, right? Here on the left side. So you can see the date, time, and you can hear to those call records. Even through which source channel they have made the call, you can see here. Okay, whether it was answered or not, and what is the duration, what is the billing second. So everything you can see here. So this is the SMB vulnerability that we used, okay, to get access to that particular thing. So you can even use the same thing to get the access to those call records. Okay, and this is what we got, all audio records. So it's very simple, you got it, like you just have to find the directory, get access to the admin panels, and then you can get access to this audio records. So there are a lot of people who are aware about these PBX phone systems, gateways, okay, and there is a guy who posted on Twitter, named Dolmos, okay, that you don't even need the authentication for those. So he just provided some particular dork for Shodan. You can use that Shodan dork and you can get access to all those PBX connected IPs. So now let's move to another topic, that is soft phone. So what is soft phone? So soft phone is a piece of software, okay, that allows the user to make telephone calls over the internet. So this is the basic software that all the organizations are using. So you have to understand what are the hardwares, softwares are being utilized by the organization. Once you know those things, it will be easier for you to exploit them. So now many organizations are employing wipe-based systems. So it's good opportunity for you to explore the wipe hacking systems. Okay, so because that is also very prominent nowadays. So you can go and try it on your own. So let me just add one more point. So this particular soft phone software, it is nothing but just a piece of software that is running on your computer system. So even if I get access to your system or I can get access to that particular software, I can get whole access to your PBX administration panel. So let's move to the vulnerabilities now. What are the vulnerabilities that we found? I'll repeat again, I'm going to showcase only the vulnerabilities which have been fixed and have been assigned the CVE numbers, because it won't be good if I disclose some of the vulnerabilities which have not been fixed by the vendor. Okay, so this is the first PBX vendor that we targeted, Trixbox. You can go and search. It is very commonly used PBX by most of the organizations. Okay, so the first, okay, this is the blind OS command injection. Wait, so first I'll show you the blind OS command injection a demo. So what is OS command injection? Okay, so you will execute OS commands, like you will have uh, some place to give the command. Okay, so you just have to run some command to get access to the web server. Okay, so let's see the first demo. So what is, so okay, it is running. Yeah, so this is the local IP address of my Trix box. Okay, this is the command that I'm using to intercept the traffic. This is the IP address of Trix box. Yeah. This is the command TCP dump -e0, and I'm using burp suite to intercept. Okay, so what I will do, I'll just capture the request. So see, I'm trying to ping command. Okay, so you can see here, ping command is there. So we will see whether it is getting executed or not. So blind OS command injection, no one will be able to recognize that you are trying to exploit it because it is blind. You cannot see anything. So for that reason, you have to capture the traffic. See, it has started listening. So you can run any command, like whatever you want, and you can imagine, like if you can run any command like root or /etc/passwd, any command, so you can get access to that server. So another interesting was path traversal. It's very easy vulnerability, but very interesting because sometimes you will find very critical information in some of the critical files, like config file or any other file will be there. Okay, so let's see the demo of this one. So what we are trying to do, again, we are using burp suite. Burp suite is a proxy, if you don't know, just to intercept the traffic. Okay, so we are trying to capture the request and then we are able to see the response. So you can see here in this particular response, we are able to see all the directories information. Okay, so shutdown, what is happening, mail, what is happening, where is news located, like /etc/news, and even you can see the FTP user /where FTP has been no login. So you can go to any directories. So it's very important and critical vulnerability if you are able to find the critical information. So this is the, one second. This is the another one. Another path traversal through which we got the similar kind of result. Okay, and you can see like sync when it is from where it is syncing. If you just imagine, you can change the folder or you get access to that folder, you create some of your folder for which you can get the logs. So you can get whenever it is getting synced. This is everyone's favorite vulnerability, and it is very common web application vulnerability that you find on different applications deployed over web servers. Yeah, so it is everywhere. So what you are trying to do, you are trying to inject some of the code in browser. Okay. I cannot see. Okay. Can you guys see the dots? So in browser URL, you can see we are trying to inject some of the script code, and through that you can run the XSS vulnerability. Okay, so you can get the cookies, domain related information, everything in this kind of attacks. It's very common attack techniques that you can perform anywhere. Another important PBX vendor that we try to explore is Axon. So see, again, the XSS, this is very common one. I told first thing we'll try out is XSS. And even we found different kind of vulnerabilities like SQL injection, you can go and try. Okay. And then there was one critical vulnerability that we wanted to exploit. So I will just show you the basic exploitation. So what was our motivation that we are trying to exploit so many vulnerabilities? But my role is to exploit that particular user who is having that access to the PBX and gain the admin privileges. So this should be the everyone's motive. Whenever you try to do pen testing or hacking, this is the first thing that will come into mind, that you want to get the admin access using user. Okay, so we tried to perform one code execution. Okay, so I'll just showcase the demo for that. So this is process monitor tool. Okay, so you can see like so many DLL files are being loaded. So what is happening here is, you can see the setup is there, .exe, okay? And whenever you try to install any software, there will be so many dynamic link libraries that run in behind the scene, okay? To perform or to execute that particular application. So what we try to do, we try to observe what are the DLL files. See, there are so many DLL files. What are the DLL files that we can exploit? This is very common attack technique. And we created a malicious DLL file. Okay, malicious DLL file, for example, there is propsys.dll. We created our own malicious DLL file to execute that calculator whenever you run on that particular application. So what we are trying to do is, like, instead of running the actual DLL file, we are trying to run the malicious DLL file from the default directory. And you can see the calculator is being executed. We try to perform privilege escalation through this using Meterpreter, and we got the session. Okay, so this was the interesting one that we found, the last one. Okay, so this is the final screenshot that I was showing. So this is the normal PBX setup, and this is the malicious DLL file, and this is the calculator that you can execute. And in behind, you can see there are so many DLL files. Maybe in video it was not clear, so I took the screenshot. Okay. Then, okay, this is my favorite one. So if you follow the mitigations, obviously you can have bear on the moon. Okay. It simply portrays the image that you can relax if you're following the mitigation. But that doesn't mean that it will not get attacked. But the chances of getting attacked is very less. Okay, it's almost difficult to get the 100% security, as every one of you know. So these are the general mitigation techniques that we suggested to different organizations. Those organizations include, I cannot take the name, but those organizations included a lot of financial ones, government organizations, and including the private ones. So even a lot of Fortune 500 companies, they are now aware about these kind of vulnerabilities, and they have patched it. We try to help them in patching. So these are the common policies and procedures that we suggest each and every organization to follow. Okay. First thing is important is security training. Like, security training is mandatory now, not only for the people who are working in security domain, but for each and every employee. They should be aware, like, for example, if some user is a developer, okay, and he has just an access to some console, but he doesn't know, like, he is running with, for example, super user privileges, but he doesn't know the impact, what can be the impacted. But he can obviously run that in proper user mode also. So in that case, if attacker gets access to that particular user, that attacker will able to run those commands in super user privileges. So you can imagine the impact. So that's why these kind of security training is very important. How the user should use the softwares, hardwares within the organization premises. It's very important security training. Okay, another one is password policy. A lot of organizations will say that you keep changing your password every week, every month, but that is not the feasible solution because you cannot remember the passwords. So obviously 6 months you should change your password, but your password should be unique one. So nowadays there are so many password creator softwares available in the market through which you can generate the random password which has not been created anywhere in the world. So those kind of password policies companies should follow. And then there are password managers. So you don't even need to remember those passwords. You can directly use the password manager because those will be very complex passwords to remember. Okay, another thing is incident response procedure. So I hope every one of you aware about WannaCry-like incidents, right? The exploit was very simple, but the ransomware which they launched and the encrypted all the files, it was a big loss to many organizations. Okay, so having an incident response team in your organization is important. So whenever a live attack is happening, if there is an incident response team, they can try to block those kind of attacks. They can try to identify what kind of attack it is, and they can block it at the same time. So if you don't have that team, maybe the harm will be more if you delay it for 1 week of time. You don't know all your files get encrypted, even the critical ones. Another one we suggest is OS level security patches. So you have to keep your system updated each and every time, like Microsoft release their patches every second Tuesday of every month. Okay, so you have to make sure whether your softwares are dependent or not, you have to change the policies and everything, and you should patch your systems. Same things for applications and services. You have to keep checking whether application is updated or not and what kind of services you are using. If there are services which are of no use, for example, there might be 100 services, but you are only using 10 services for your daily use. So you should keep a check for 90 services and you should block those services. Whenever you require, you can access those services, ask for the proper ticket system, like to give you the privilege. That will be the best mitigation technique here. Another one is privilege, which I told again, like the code execution technique that I showcased. For example, now everybody is moving to AWS and Azure cloud environment. Okay, Google Cloud also. So what is happening? Suppose there are 10 developers in a team. Okay, I'll make it a very simple example. 10 developers in a team. Every 10 developers have the same access, but they don't require to have those kind of access. Okay, like super admin privilege, for example. So what we should keep a check, like only one developer, like who is leading that particular team, should be given that privilege, not others, because others will not be aware like what is going in behind. Okay, so we should keep a check on those privileges. So that's it from my side. Thank you. Have wine.
Thank you very much, Himanshu.